Welcome, everybody. My name is Alessandro Acquisti. I welcome you to the CMU celebrations for the International Data Privacy Day 2011. I'm delighted that you're here. I'm impressed by the power of privacy and free food. The Data Privacy Day is an international event. It started in 2008. It's hosted simultaneously in several different countries, United States, Canada, 27 European countries. And its purpose is, fostering the awareness about and education about privacy issues. So a few months ago, we were contacted by the organizers of the Data Privacy Day, and we were asked to host some event on this day related to privacy. And we thought we could do something not only to indeed support the international event and show our support for what we believe is an important awareness initiative, but also something internally to, in a way, bring together different researchers who work on privacy at CMU, and showcase, in a sense, the diversity, the wealth, the breadth of privacy research done around here. I happen to believe that CMU is currently one of the coolest places to do privacy research in the world. Of course, it's a self-serving view. I also happen to believe and hope that the privacy courses we have at CMU are particularly exciting because often you see in classrooms snapshots of research which is happening right now, and some months later will be published and will be talked about. So, if anything, there is indeed an embarrassment of riches in that there are so many different streams of research in privacy at CMU. There is lots of technology privacy, there is lots of economics of privacy, privacy behavior. And the problem is perhaps knowing what else is going on. I've been several times in conferences where, especially when I was in my more junior years, a couple of years after arriving at CMU, where I would discover other people doing privacy research at CMU. I say, oh, you are also at CMU. We should talk when we get back to Pittsburgh. So that's why we had the poster fair outside and the panel session now with a distinguished set of privacy scholars. The poster session, by the way, will last up until 2 p.m. So after the panel, you are welcome and in fact encouraged to stop by the posters we have outside. Now, I would like to thank the Heinz College for supporting this and the encouragement, CyLab for filming the event. Of course, the researchers, both students and faculty who prepared the posters, all the Heinz staff here who did amazing work to make this event possible, and of course you for being here. But of course I would like to thank my panelists, which I will introduce in a few seconds. I believe they do offer a good sense of the diversity of privacy research at CMU. In fact, it is in a way a proof of the role of privacy research at CMU in the broader panorama of worldwide scholars, that the scholars here in this room today are just a subset of privacy scholars at CMU. Many of them, for instance, couldn't be here today. They are on the road for the program committee meetings of one of the top conferences in the area. In fact, that conference, the IEEE Security and Privacy, often has 20, 30, 1 year, even 50% of papers coming from privacy researchers at CMU, which gives you a sense of the wealth of research done here. I'm going to ask, after introducing them, a few brief questions of my panelists. I would like them to talk briefly of some cool research they are doing. So ideally, things which are not yet published. The kind of stuff that maybe some months from now you will read about in Post-Gazette or Tribune or New York Times. I will also ask them something slightly different, slightly unusual, which is to talk about someone else's research at CMU. So not their own research, but somebody else's research that they find compelling, ideally in a different field from theirs. I would also like you to ask questions. So we will have, I don't know where Sandy is, as... Okay, thank you. Sandy and Jackie have some pieces of papers where you can, they will pass around. You can write questions on the pieces of paper. Then if you raise your hand, Jackie and Sandy will pick the piece of paper from you, bring it to me, and during the course of the panel, I'll try to fit in some of your questions, okay? So let me now introduce my panelists. I will go from my left in order, and first Travis Breaux, Assistant Professor at the Institute for Software Research, Lorrie Cranor, Associate Professor at the Institute for Software Research, as well as the Engineering and Public Policy Department, Steve Fienberg, the Maurice Falk University Professor of Statistics and Social Science, Jason Hong, Associate Professor at the Human-Computer Interaction Institute, and Norman Sade, full Professor at the School of Computer Science. Some of them, as well, myself included, are also part of CMU CyLab. So, first of all, thank you, Lorrie, thank you, gentlemen, for being here today. Let me start with the easy question, the one I was referring to earlier. Pick one example of your recent research that is compelling, cool, excites you, and may excite the others. And we start with Travis.
Okay. So the work that we're doing in the Institute for Software Engineering has much to do with how we design and build software systems. One project that we're working on right now, which I think is interesting, has to do with aligning privacy laws and regulations with information systems and designs. So today, there are easily over 100 privacy laws that affect any one information system. And there's probably well over 1,000, actually, when you think about the problem worldwide. And you think about the fact that privacy regulations may be written indirectly. They may just cover something like health information or financial information and not mention privacy whatsoever. But one way to think about this problem is to look back 30 years ago. So if you started a company in a small town in the United States, you would open a storefront, you would visit your chamber of commerce, you would hire a lawyer within your town, and they would tell you essentially what you had to do to sell goods and services from your shop. Today, you can put that storefront online and instantly reach customers from all over the world, from jurisdictions in many different states, many different countries, and all of a sudden you have a much larger compliance problem. And so the work we're doing is trying to understand privacy law from an international perspective, from a multi-jurisdictional perspective. So we're interested in how do you align these regulations, how do you identify, for example, minimum standards of care, high standards of care, with respecting the fact that privacy has different definitions in different cultures. So we actually have a poster on the poster session if you want to see some of the preliminary work, but that's to me what we're looking at.
Thank you, Travis. Lorrie.
So in the CyLab Usable Privacy and Security Lab, the CUPS lab, we have a number of privacy-related projects. Several of these have to do with a standard for privacy on the web called P3P, which is basically a computer-readable language for website privacy policies. And in doing these projects, one of the things that we noticed is we were looking at a lot of companies' P3P policies, and they didn't seem quite right. And so we started looking more closely and found that a lot of them actually have errors in them. So in the company's computer-readable privacy policy, they're saying things about their privacy practices that are not true. They're essentially lying to customers. So we decided to start looking at this systematically. And for the P3P compact policies, which are their privacy policies about the use of cookies on their website, we collected 33,000 examples of companies that have these policies, and we found that about a third of them seem to have erroneous policies. So that's a very high rate of companies that are basically lying in their privacy policies. And so we started looking to see, well, why are they doing that? And what we discovered is that the Internet Explorer web browser actually makes cookie blocking decisions on the basis of these P3P policies. And so by actually having these erroneous policies, they could prevent their cookies from getting blocked by Internet Explorer. If they were to honestly explain what they do, in many cases, their cookies would be blocked. And so this seems like a very interesting finding that shows that industry self-regulation in the privacy area is not really living up to its promise, and there so far doesn't seem to be a whole lot in the way of enforcement.
Thank you, Lorrie. Steve?
This is amazing. I do technical things. I'll put this at length. I do technical things rooted in mathematical statistics, and I think I've been talking on the topic of privacy or confidentiality protection for something like 20 years now, and I've never had a room full of students and colleagues this big, and so I think this is fabulous.
Apart from the audio, everything is fabulous. Thank you.
I said I do technical things, and the really cool idea I want to talk about is not mine, but we've been drawing upon it. And it's an idea that goes back quite a while in the computer science literature about how to do secure multi-party computation. And the basic idea is very simple. Suppose that Lorrie and Jason and Norman each have data on a bunch of individuals. Suppose it's medical data. And what they'd really like to know is the answer to some statistical question that they would like to do on the combination of the three sets of data. But for privacy and other reasons, they are either unable or unwilling to share the data with one another. The cool idea is that you can actually employ ideas from cryptography in order to bring about, I'm not.
Is it possible to turn the audio off? I'm sorry, it's actually more distracting.
Yeah.
I understand. I would like to know how to turn it off.
I have my own built-in microphone, so I'm okay.
Give it a holler, see what happens. Say.
That's much better.
Thank you.
So the cool idea was a proof in concept that one could compute in polynomial time using encryption such a computation. Proof in concept is very different than proof in reality. And with colleagues in statistics and machine learning, and in particular a graduate student, Rob Hall, we've been working very hard to turn some of these ideas into real practice so that they could be implemented. But they tend to be a curiosity, and we have difficulty sometimes describing the value of this to other people. The cool thing is that 2 days ago we were approached to come and describe our results to people from the Food and Drug Administration who actually have this problem and think that our solution may help them. You can see Rob's poster describing the technical aspects out in the hall.